So are you feeling like you're forcing everything in your business? Do you want to give up? Maybe you feel really down, out of sorts, out of alignment. If so, you want to stay tuned to this next episode of La Dolce Vita, the formula for fabulous living, where my guest shows you what are some of the signs and symptoms that you need to be looking at in your business so that you can get back on track and feeling aligned with your purpose. So stay tuned. Frankie Lee, dimmi, qual è senso della vita?
The meaning of life is to live la dolce vita, which is the formula for fabulous living.
Hi, my name is Heather Picken, and welcome to the La Dolce Vita Show, the formula for fabulous living. I'm the catalyst in helping you to be more confident, create your dream business, and attract elite clients and live a fabulous life. Here's Heather helping you to upgrade your life to
fabulous. Upgrade your life to fabulous. Right, Frankie? You're fabulous.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of La Dolce Vita, the formula for fabulous living. And today I have a very special guest I'm so excited to share with you. He's been on the show before, Dr. Dave Talk, who owns Texoma Wellness. And we're going to be talking about really, the formula on how you can push through when, you have a goal in your business or any area of your life and it's not going exactly how you want it. Maybe you're fearful. Maybe you're kind of stuck in your thinking and, you're feeling a little bit depressed. We're going to talk about that. And I work with a lot of ambitious, primarily female entrepreneurs that also get in their own way. So these are going to be really good subjects. And I want to share a little bit about, before we talk to Dr. Tuck here, he has a really interesting story. And he, Dr. Dave, you have had this business for 22 years, which is really impressive. And I could read all about what you do, which is absolutely fabulous, which you can go to TexomaWellness.com. We'll put the link in the show notes. But I want to hear a little bit about your story, why you chose this field, because I think it's important to see, how someone really got into doing what they're doing. So take it away.
Well, great. It's always a pleasure to be with you and see you. I always love our discussions and looking forward to seeing what comes out. And yeah, so it's great to be here. So my story, started, many moons ago when I was, 18 years old. I was actually in school to be an accountant, which, I can't really stand sitting in front of a computer. So I'm not quite sure why that was chosen. But, and I think one of the things that happens to a lot of people is you go along life and you're doing something you think you should be doing or supposed to be doing. And then the universe will give you these little messages. My message was a car accident that almost killed me and put me in the hospital. And it woke me up to my purpose during that time, which is chiropractic and healing the body without medications and drugs and such. Because I found myself in the hospital and they wanted to put me on a lot of medications, but it just didn't make a lot of sense to me at the time. So as I discovered different healing modalities through chiropractic, I knew it's one of those moments where what this is something that's important to you. This is a really significant event because it led me to my purpose for the last 25 years now. Actually, my 25th year in practice, I have been pursuing, all aspects of healing the body, healing the mind through chiropractic, through working with the body's musculoskeletal system, through working with the body nutritionally, but also most importantly, over the last 20 years, been really working with the mind-body connection and how what you think affects your physiology. Through the years, I found that I'd have patients come in with similar conditions and, one person would not get better while the other one would, even though we're doing the same thing. And as I really learned about how the mind affects the body, we started working with the stress levels of patients and seeing that, wow, if we clear out their emotional stresses and emotional baggage, their physiology literally shifts immediately and they begin to heal. And so that's what I've been doing for the last 20 years, is working and coaching with one-on-one clients in all different fields of business and relationships, finance and health, and how their mind affects their results in their life, and what they're trying to manifest in their life is directly affected to what they think.
I love that. And it's so true. I want to talk more about this mind-body connection, and let's apply it to business. A lot of times on the journey of creating a business, is something that actually happened to me, where I felt I was doing the right thing in my business. Like, I'm looking at what everyone else is doing. And then what happened is, all of a sudden my pipeline dried up, and I started second guessing myself. Like, am I really doing what I need to be doing? And I started feeling like off. I don't like to use the word depressed. I like to say the word off, because I'm like, right. I'm not feeling aligned. And so all of a sudden I didn't want to work on my business. So those women that are watching or listening, let's talk about some of the signs or symptoms when you're not feeling aligned with your purpose, and then you might get sick, and how that kind of, you see, I'm sure, patients all the time.
Patients and clients, right? You bet. In all different types of field. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs and businesses, and what's amazing is we have this wonderful feedback mechanism, this built-in design to let us know when we are feeling off or feeling down, and those are our emotions, for one. So a lot of times when people are feeling depressed or down, they tend to beat themselves up, thinking, wow, I really shouldn't be feeling this way. But the reality is, that's exactly the feelings that you need in order to help wake you up to the reality that you may not be on purpose. And so we need those feedbacks, just like when a person comes in with pain or digestive issues, or fatigue, or a whole list of symptoms. Well, those are just feedbacks mechanisms that are built in to show us where we're not actually in balance. And if we ignore those symptoms, such say you're depressed and you just take a pill to make you feel happy, you haven't really found out the underlying reason why, right? And so you're not actually able to self-correct. So I think it's really important for people to learn how to self-correct themselves, not be dependent on outside people or outside pills or drinking or drugs or whatever, to help get you back to your center state of where you feel more, aligned. Like you were saying, there's a feeling that you get when you're on purpose and you're inspired. You feel youthful, you feel more energetic, you feel more like, you don't have to be drug out of bed to go do your work. You actually wake up and you're ready to go. And so all these are symptoms that you're on track and you're on purpose. So when you don't feel that way, that's just a feedback to say, hey, let's look at your life and let's see what areas maybe you need some tweaking in, right?
Absolutely. No, I think that's really good that you mentioned, just don't gravitate towards the pills. I am definitely about, regulating your mind. Our minds are so powerful, yet, we negate that, and then we'll look for a drug to fix us. If you look at the epidemic that is going on right now with opioids, we can honestly, what is your opinion? I know what my opinion is about solving this. So what would you say?
Well, I say that it's about learning how to listen to your body when you're out of balance. And, because your feedback also not only comes in the health, but also, say, in your relationships. When you're having issues in a relationship, you have symptoms of maybe arguing or maybe not feeling connected, or, there's something going on there. And maybe in your business, you might start seeing a downtrend in clients, or a decrease in your income, or a lack of growth in your business. And these are all just symptoms, that something's going on. So if we look for these outside sources to try to fix our inside, then it doesn't work. You become dependent on the outside. And that actually disempowers you in the long run. And it keeps you from actually expressing your true power and your true self and purpose, which is why we're here. We're all here to express our true authentic being and live that divine purpose. And then that we can serve the world with our message, right? But if we're having to depend on outside sources through maybe a person or maybe a pill, and you just are cutting off your lifeline, kind of, and you actually slowly create death, in yourself, in your mission. And that's not why we're here.
It's so true. So what about, you mentioned something really interesting about not looking on the outside. Like everything really comes from within us. So let's take the situation, and I know this is probably happening to a lot of women entrepreneurs right now, where they're looking on the outside, meaning they're looking at their bank account, their pipeline has dried up, and they're like, what do I need to do? And they're just really confused. So, what would you say to a woman who is taking the action, but yet is still not seeing the results in her bank account, and therefore I like to call it, she's having her freak out moment. She's
freak out moment, right?
Emotional about it.
Yeah, I think the first step is to step back, regroup. It's easier to look at your life from above and down, and so when we're caught up in our cycle, then it's really hard to solve it from the inside. So it's about stepping back and taking a look and reevaluate your values. What are the most important things to you, and what are the things that you are inspired about, and then actually getting really clear on your purpose and mission. And what you'll probably find is that you may be doing these actions or taking these steps toward a direction that doesn't actually align with your values or your purpose. And so you're naturally going to feel stuck. You're naturally going to feel depressed. You're naturally going to have that feedback coming back to you that's saying, hey, you're not quite on track here. And that's something to embrace and not run from. And I think especially entrepreneurs, I find that think that they've got to have it together all the time, and they can't have these times where they feel down or depressed because it makes them look like they don't know what they're doing, or they feel weak, right? But actually, those are the times, if you look at the autobiographies of all the successful people around, they've all gone through challenges. They've all gone through stresses. It's a part of the challenge. The challenge is a part of the growth process. And so you embrace those challenges by stepping back and looking and learning the lesson from that. Then you can actually go to the next level and not stay stuck in revolution, but actually you get evolution. You keep going forward, right? So we can get caught up in this cycle of being down and depressed. I'm no good. I've done. I should have. And then if we compare ourselves to others, then we may be looking like we're not doing as well as we are. But you're your own unique expression, and so you can't compare yourself to other people, right? It's your life.
Absolutely. No, I definitely agree. I can remember so many times just looking at other people and saying, wow, I really wish I was over there.
Right.
I'm not where I want to be. And that is just a recipe for disaster. And now more than ever with social media, it's so easy to compare ourselves. I mean, even if you look at like teenagers, a lot of times, like a lot of the things that you see in the media, like suicide, is happening because of unrealistic expectations that they're putting on themselves as a result of social media, right? So
yeah, trying to be someone you're not. Trying to be trying to be what you think everyone else wants you to be. Again, is not acknowledging, expressing your true greatness and your true essence of why you're here, and not loving your own self. I mean, that's probably one of the biggest reasons for the depression and all the suicides that are happening. I mean, it's there's something going on you can't see from the outside, but what's going on inside the person, and then they're comparing themselves, and they just don't feel good enough. Or they don't feel like their life is they're not appreciating what they have, and they want to always try to get somewhere else. I think, I've been through that in my life where I'm like, gosh, I don't want to be here. I want to be there. But you can't get there until you appreciate and acknowledge where you are and the lessons that you have. You're always in the perfect place at the perfect time. There are no mistakes. It's all in balance and order. You just have to take the time to see that and acknowledge that.
I love this. This is because I'm all about breaking down the formula. So what you're talking about is if you feel you want your life to be over there, right? Let's just say you aspire to make $1 million and you've only made 100,000. Instead of wishing to be over there, what you're saying is just, appreciate where you're at right now.
Exactly. The two great questions in that scenario are, what's the benefit of me being exactly where I am? And I get to the point of appreciating that. And then if I did have the thing that I thought I wanted, how would that actually be a drawback to me in my life? And how is that actually not aligned with who I am? And I know when I do that exercise, or I have clients do it, they get a really great realization that, wow, actually, I'm not meant to be there right now. I'm meant to be exactly where I am, learning the exact lessons that I'm learning, so I can create my own unique expression of what's next. Because that's not actually you. If you're meant to be there, you'd be there now, right? But because you're not there, you're not meant to be there. There's no mistakes in that, right? And so,
I absolutely, yeah, I agree. We definitely share the same philosophy behind that. I was watching or listening to something the other day where they're talking about Einstein and saying that, everything that we want is really right here in this moment. That time is just an illusion. And, if we keep focusing on the future, keep projecting that out and not, again, it goes back to the formula about embracing what we have.
right.
We're always going to want to be over there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, if you don't appreciate what you have, then why in the world would you be given something else? Because the universe doesn't work that way.
Mm.
You don't appreciate the wealth you have in this moment. You're not going to, and meaning if you don't appreciate, you're probably not taking very good care of it because you're not appreciating it. So you're not going to keep getting more. Doesn't make any sense. So appreciating where you are right now in your career, in your relationships, in your finances, and actually even in your health. And you may look in the mirror and think, gosh, I don't feel like I look like I want. But if you don't appreciate that exact body you have and how you got there and how it's serving you exactly right now in this moment, then you can't shift that reality. It doesn't work that way.
Absolutely. And that little squawk was my dog, Frankie Lee. Just for those that are listening,
Frankie.
That wasn't me.
Scott.
Yeah. He's part of the show. Anyways, let's, what you said is so valuable because a lot of times what happens is if we're not in the moment, like you're saying, appreciating what we have right now, we start beating ourselves up. We can't focus as a result. So going back to the formula, appreciate where you're at. Mm-hmm. What other things can we do in order to get out of that kind of funky energy, like, exercising? Because you do a lot of, working with people in mind-body connection. So what other strategies would you recommend?
And one of my favorite things is to start tapping back into the things that you truly love, because there are certain activities, and I did this myself many years ago. I made a list of all the activities and things that I love doing. Some of them performed when I was a kid and I forgot all about. And those are things that you love doing. And when you're doing them, you just feel connected to yourself. You feel present. You're just loving the moment. And go back and make that list. And then every day start doing some of those things and get yourself out of your head and into your heart by doing the things that you love. Because you can't solve the problem when you're in your head and when you're in it. And so one of the first things to do, if you're really feeling stuck, really frustrated, get out of yourself. Go do some of the things that you love doing and tap back into, because that's your true self, your true essence. When you're doing what you love doing, you feel that presence. So go tap into those activities and then feel that presence. And then you'll see your mind start to clear and you can actually solve some of these problems that in the moment seem huge. But when you step away and you actually get tapped into yourself, they're not such big ones and they're not that many. There's only maybe a couple, 3 instead of 100, it feels like, right? So I
love that. I think that's so wise to have different strategies that we can do. Like if we're neglecting or putting things off because we feel like we're not in the flow or forcing things. Like I talked about, are you in the flow or are you forcing things? If you're forcing yourself to do something, you're like, oh, I have to do it. But if you're flowing, that you love to do it. So you could do an activity like maybe you want, you love working out, but you feel like you have to work on your business and you can't do that. I know for me personally, I usually will go to a coffee shop if I'm feeling kind of stuck, because that's a reconnection. I think everyone is different. Maybe you're going for a walk.
Everyone has their own way of reconnecting. Coffee shop, taking a hot bath, going for a walk, playing sports. You do the thing that's unique to you, and you tap into that and you get clear. And you also listen to your language, because our language will tell us a lot about where we are. If you find yourself daily going, I have to do this, I've got to do this, or I really ought to be doing this, then you're probably not acting from your true self. Because you naturally say things like you just mentioned, which is, I love to do X, Y, Z. I will choose to do, I desire to do. Those are the more inspired languages that tend to mean that you're aligned to your purpose. And when you're using these other languages of disempowerment language, like have to, got to, and shoulds, then that's an indication that you're probably not on the mark. You might be subordinating yourself to some other people's value systems and not living according to yours. And that was just another feedback mechanism to pay attention to your life. So it's about stepping back and paying attention. The answers are all around you. We just got to slow down, be present, pay attention, and then acknowledge them, and then take action, which is another step. Sometimes people don't take action, but you got to take action next.
I love that. Again, this is like this whole formula of how you can get unstuck,
Hmm.
not just in your business, but any area of your life. So just kind of recapping some of the things that you had mentioned, being present, like really be appreciative of where you're at, stop comparing yourself to other people, get back in sync with yourself, do some of those things that you have put off that, you haven't been nurturing,
Right.
yourself to reconnect. And then you also mentioned taking action. I think, taking inspired action
Hmm.
when you have, like, to me, it's that intuitive voice that says, okay, do this. This is the thing that is the right thing to do. And you mentioned about the language. I think this is really interesting. I think a lot of times what happens is it's an unconscious thing where
Right.
people automatically say something like, I'll never be successful. Why does this always happen to me? I hate doing this. Like all of those languages that are so disempowering and
Hmm.
not even catching themselves in the moment, right? It's like a
Right.
program.
Yeah.
So, you're saying just create an awareness so that you can break that pattern, right?
Exactly. Because you know what, a famous quote I like to hear every now and then is, if you think you can or can't, then you're right. So either way, whatever it is you want to focus your intention on, and your language is a result of what you're thinking. And so pay attention to that, and then just simply shift your thinking. It's not hard to change our thoughts. We just have to consciously do that and recognize it, and then create the thoughts around what it is you want to create in your life. If you don't feel successful, or then start telling yourself that you are, and then recognize where you are successful. If you don't feel healthy and well, then find the form that you are healthy and well in, and appreciate that. So you don't realize you're not ever missing anything. It's just going to be changing forms throughout our life depending on what our values are. If you think you're lacking wealth, then find the wealth that's in your life. It may not be in cash form, but it's going to be in some form in your life, and you can recognize that form. That opens the door to now receive it in the cash form if you desire, if you set your intention to that. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that you talked about intention. I'm all about
Yeah.
having the power of intention and realize, like, to me, this is not, and I'm sure you'll agree, it's not a linear journey. I know my journey hasn't. I've failed many times, have lost lots of money, but then had to pick myself up and go, okay, what do I, what am I really passionate about? What am I great about, or really great at, and not stay stuck. But are you also saying, and I want to make sure we clarify this, is that it's okay to feel sad, but don't stay there, right? It's okay
Right.
to have emotions, because that is what's going to help you to redirect to what
That's
you
your
need to
feed.
focus
That's the feedback.
on.
If you're not getting that feedback of emotion, then you don't know that there's something to shift. Just like your body's physiology giving you pain. If you don't get the pain, sometimes you don't know that there's something to shift. And so it's not something to run from. It's something to embrace. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, especially people that are really driven, sometimes when we get stuck, well, I should be able to fix this myself, right? But sometimes we actually need some help. And
Yes.
so it's wise to acknowledge that. And if you need help from someone like yourself or like myself, then go get help and get unstuck if you need help, so you can move on past and get to the next thing. That we're not ever going to get to a place where you don't need help. You're not going to have challenges. There's not going to be situations that are going to create emotions. But it's about having the tools that when that does come, you understand how to effectively manage that, and then move back to the next challenge and to the next challenge and keep growing. That's why we're here. We're here to grow.
I love that. Now let's talk about, because you do work with people with the whole mind body, help adjust them, not just in their body but mentally. What are some of the signs and symptoms physically, if someone's not, like, really, let's just say they've had a business for a while and all of a sudden things have changed, because this is where I see a lot of things happening right now online. Their pipeline has dried up, and they're forcing themselves to do stuff, and all of a sudden they start feeling sick, and then no matter how much they start pushing themselves, they're making themselves literally sick. So what are some of the symptoms that you have seen with, it could be either
Right.
entrepreneurs or just people in general,
Yeah.
that are
Yeah.
just not paying attention?
Well, I think the posture says a lot. about how we're feeling emotionally. So that's one of the first signs is our posture starts shifting, or start having maybe slumped shoulders. We start kind of, if you're feeling down and depressed, you're tend to going to do that. You're going to depress yourself. And so that's one of the things I look for. And then couples with that is you start getting fatigue, and maybe you don't sleep well. You wake up and you start waking up in the middle of the night because you're anxious or nervous. You feel stressed out. You may start having digestive issues. You may start having pains in your back. It all depends on what meaning that the person puts on their situation. And so we carry emotions in different parts of our body based on what we label that stress as and what that means to us. And so everybody's so unique. Each individual will carry the stress differently. So I think it's important to pay attention when your physiology begins to shift, because that means something's going on. It's going to be either a physical change, a chemical change, or there's been some emotional shift going on. It's going to be one of those three things. So what's great is you only have three things to look at. So then and I know when I start feeling the way you described, I start to go, okay, physically, what I've been doing or not doing, chemically, nutritionally, what I've been doing or not doing, emotionally, how have I been feeling about my life? Am I stressed? Am I angry? Do I have emotion around something? It's always going to be in those areas. So if you have the tools to self-regulate and rebalance and recalibrate, then you can snap out of these little episodes very quickly and get back on the program. Get back to doing what you're here to do, which is aligned to your purpose.
I love that. I love that our body's just always giving us the feedback, and that we can change it, and we don't have to take drugs. We can actually self-regulate if we have the tools and strategies. And like what you're saying, don't do this alone. Get someone to help you to get out of your own way. To me, especially as an entrepreneur, it's not about your marketing funnel. It's about what's going on inside.
Exactly.
If you want to go to the next level. Dr. Dave, this has been absolutely amazing. I could be talking to you for hours on this subject, because I think this is honestly one of the most important topics I think I've had on this show. Just talking about, are you in alignment? Are you out of alignment? What do you need to do? So before we go today, where can people learn about you?
The best place is go to our coaching site, which is supremewellnesscoaching.com. And then you can find all the information about myself, my wife. We have a coaching practice, and answer. You can fill out a deal, ask me questions. It's great. So anytime, it'd be wonderful. I love answering questions. Love being a part of your show. I think you're doing some amazing stuff for the globe and helping entrepreneurs everywhere. And I just appreciate having this connection. So anytime, we can always meet again.
Absolutely. Well, it's been my pleasure, and I recommend everyone to check out Dr. Dave's site. We're going to put that link in the show notes, whether you're listening to this on iTunes or YouTube. So take advantage of all these amazing experts that I have on the show. So once again, Dr. Dave, thank you so much for coming on here and giving us some insight and wisdom on realizing that, we have the power to break through any challenge that we have in our business and in our life.
Beautiful. Always a pleasure, Heather.
My pleasure. My pleasure. And I just last minute here, anyone that really loves this show, please rate and review and subscribe if you're on iTunes. What you want to do is you want to obviously give it a 5-star rating. Tell me what you liked about it, what episode you liked, because that's how people find out about the show. If you're on YouTube, make sure that you click on the button. I like to call it Pavlov's bell, because it notifies you on all of the new show episodes. So thank you again. Thanks, everyone. Until next time, this is Heather Picken. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So if you found this show to be fabulous, share with your fabulous friends, rate, review, and subscribe on YouTube and iTunes. And I'll make sure I take a beatbox lesson, right? Or give my little chihuahua a bone. That's me. Fabulous.